This is called Correspondence Between Camp Counselors. Dear Harrison, on the first day of camp, I thought at first that you were a fisherman. It was raining, and the waves were crashing on the shore behind you, and wearing that bright yellow raincoat, you sure looked like how I always imagined the protagonist from The Old Man and the Sea. You're only 21, so I guess that would make it The Young Man and the Sea, but you see, the comparison still feels apt, because though you were just barely an adult, there is still something about the mold of your face and the frown of your eyebrows that makes you look so much older. Since that first day, I have been taking careful note of you, and through our corresponding interactions and communications and late-night conversations behind the boys' cabin, I have come to the conclusion that maybe you should not be a camp counselor. From the get-go, I could tell there was something off about you. We grew up down the street from each other, and even when you weren't too busy running to your mother or crying like a wolf, we never did find time to play doctor because it perpetually reminded you of your father and how at 70, he seemed always to be a patient. I always had the patience for you, though, because even when your home life was in shambles, you still found the strength of spirit for a bike ride or a late-night caffeine-high set of ramblings on the swings outside the elementary school. Even through your adolescence, you still seemed to me like the kind of person who enjoyed being alive. Probably, it was just you projecting all that anxiety, but you were always shaking with energy like you were scared and freaked out and pissing yourself constantly at the idea that you ever even could have been alive to begin with. And even though it has been 2 years since I've last really seen you, it is clear to me that you have lost that part of you. It feels like you've been broken. It feels like you've been trampled. It feels like you have reached the apex of your sullen disenchantment. The campers, too, can tell that there is something off about you. The boys think you're goofy, and the girls think you're mysterious, and I think you're lonely. You killed a bird with a pocket knife to teach the kids about the intrinsic brevity and pain of existence, and you scream at them whenever they attempt to show anything approaching resistance to your best intensive attempts to teach them to swim. You turn arts and crafts time into a memorial factory, and one boy told me that when he asked you about the finer points of sex and poetry, you told him that both should be attempted only by experts because there are too many sloppy poets and sloppy sex addicts, and practice by either just ends with ink spilled metaphorically on a sometimes metaphorical canvas and a bereft absence of feeling. Nights are always the worst, because when we set up the campfire and circle around its ashes, someone always passes you the flashlight, because no one can say that your ghost stories aren't interesting. There is something sinister about your fireside stories, and there is something grim about your fairy tales. I can no longer listen to the aching timbre of your voice without hearing that of your father, or without picturing the whites of his eyes or the grays of his hair as he wastes away inside some suburban retirement home. When you were 14, he caught you with the Playboy in the basement, and when you turned 20, you found his barely hidden collection of DVD, Blu-ray, hardcore porn stashed underneath his mattress in the bedroom to his home just days after you put him away in one. He had a stroke on the 4th of July, and you could just barely make out the whine of the ambulance over the erupting and celebratory blast of light from the night sky. Even the hospital room smelled like barbecue, and you spent the night bumming around in bars and chewing on Q-tips. Since then, you've been inconsolable. You've been bummed out and resolute in your resolve that everything beautiful gets wrinkled. And Christ, if you could just pause time for a second to really linger in the present and to be really, truly present for every moment that has been gifted to you. You've been telling the kids to stop trying and signing off on permission slips in exchange for cigarettes. And you have got to be kidding me if you think I can't still smell the booze on your breath every other morning. I don't think you realize that you are rubbing off on these kids like you used to rub off to those playboys, and that every time you interact with them, they walk away a little less innocent. Don't come back next summer, because I don't even want to think about what another year might do to you and what another year might make you do to these kids. You keep hiding behind booze bottles and concealing yourself inside of the girls you pick up fishing underneath bridges late at night, and I wish that you would be better, and I wish that you would do better, and you don't seem to realize how hard all this is for me to watch, because your mommy never loved you, and your daddy never loved you, and your girlfriends never loved you, like I always loved you. Thank you so much.